Hey everyone, Shelden here, and welcome to part 5 of how to make your hardened paper kunai. So in this video we're going to round off the circular shape completely, and then we're going to glue it in place and put a reinforcement pin through it. And then we're going to sand everything down a little bit more and then paint the entire kunai. Then finally we can wrap the handle. So I'm estimating the middle between the outside of this interior circle and the outside of this exterior circle, so I'm just drawing a circle between those two. So I have these poorly drawn sketches right here, but basically I'm just going to try to give you the basic idea. So let's pretend I just cut this circle in half. I would end up with a shape that looks something like this, and basically this is just an orthographic representation of this. So if we focus on this area right here and just make it bigger, you can see this line right here represents the light circle we just drew on there. That will eventually be the highest area on this entire rounded circle. So we just need to take the width, which is 1/4 of an inch or 6.35 millimeters, and change that into a diameter of a circle. And then we just imagine this circle on this flat face right here, and all of this material right here and this material right here will get removed. And you imagine drawing those circles on both the top and the bottom, which will make it look something like this, obviously a lot better than this really bad sketch. So now I'm going to start rounding this off, and all you need to do is just lightly go around all of the edges, both on this side of that line that we drew and this side of that line that we drew. Now make sure you don't cut too much off. Obviously you want to keep some material there so you're able to round it off. I also measured from the top down the exact same distance, which is 1/8 of an inch or 3.175 millimeters. And remember, that is half of this width right here. I'm drawing that line on there too, so it'll be easier to round it off between these two lines. So this will be rounded off right there. So now I'm just filing this, and there is no perfect way to do this. You kind of just estimate and make it as round as you can. I'm also using some sandpaper, as you can see, just to get it nice and round. So far that looks pretty good. I'm just going to do the same thing to the other side and then even everything out from there. So I just rounded off the other side, as you can see, and all you need to do is just increase the grit of your sandpaper to smooth it out even more. So I already used this low grit sandpaper, as you can see, and now I'm just going to use this sanding sponge on here. And I'm sanding it at a slight angle just to make sure it's actually rounding it off, not making this shape square again. After you do that, you just take the highest grit you have and go over the entire surface. After that, you just take a paper towel and then go over the entire surface as well. I also went ahead and used the polish wheel on this circular shape, and it made it a little bit more shiny than it originally was. So before we paint this shape, we're going to have to drill a hole for the cross pin, and the cross pin is going to go straight through the center of this hole. So we just need to mark a little mark on the top of this area here and drill straight through. Since the cross pin is going to go straight through the center of this hole, that also means it's going to go straight through the center of this smaller diameter here. So there's a little cross on there now, and the center of that cross is where I need to drill. Now I'm just going to drill this hole by hand, so I recommend taking the tip of your X-Acto knife blade and kind of making a little cutout just like this. So you just line up the drill and start twisting it just like this. And this can take a little while, but eventually you will make it all the way through, and then you can reach the other side just like that and continue going through. After it goes all the way through, it should look something like this. So you can put the circular shape on this small diameter right here, just like that, and then you can start drilling through this the exact same way. After you drill it completely through, it should look something like this, and since this drill is in the place of the cross pin, you can see the circle doesn't move. So you just need to find something that is the same diameter as this drill right here, which is 1/16 inch drill or 1.58 millimeters. So I have this wire here which happens to be the same diameter, so I just clipped off a little piece here, and this is what I'm going to use for the pin. So you just take this out, just like that, and then you take the cross pin and put it in the right place. Just like that. And there you have it. Now it doesn't come off, as you can see. So now we're going to glue this circular shape on here, and the cross pin was for added reinforcement, and that's going to get glued in place too. So to do this, we need to take this circular shape off of here again. So we need to sand off some of the paint toward the bottom section of the handle here, just to make sure the glue will bond properly. After that, it should look something like this. So now you just need to apply some super glue right here, just like this. And then you take the circular shape and put it over it, just like this. Obviously, check to make sure everything is lined up, which, as you can see, it is. Now you can take your super glue again and go over this area, just to make sure it's strong. And then you can glue your cross pin in place as well. After the cross pin is glued in place, we can fill up these gaps with some super glue and baking soda. So I'm just applying some super glue in this little gap right here. And here's some baking soda that I'm sprinkling over it. And I'm basically just doing this around the whole thing. Make sure you give it some time to dry, and then you can start making it even. And I would do this just by cutting straight down until you meet the circular shape like this. Make sure you do some filing as well, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. Alright, so I finished evening out the entire surface down here, as you can see. So I'm going to clean off the lower section of the handle with this rubbing alcohol, and that will allow the primer and paint to bond better. Alright, so this is nice and clean now, and it's ready for some primer and paint. So I didn't put any tape on here whatsoever because the transition between the old paint and the new paint would be very noticeable. So first I'm going to add some primer, and I'm going to try my best to not get it too much on the black, but it actually does need to cover just a little bit of it. Alright, here we go. Alright, so I'm going to give this primer about 10 minutes to dry. So it's been 10 minutes, and now I'm going to start adding the flat black spray paint. I just finished doing a second coat as well, so now we just need to let everything dry. Alright, here it is. I think it looks pretty good. Now we just need to wrap the handle. So I have some white paracord here, as you can see. And paracord has a few smaller strands inside of an outer sleeve. So basically we're just going to take off the outer sleeve. We are going to use the outer sleeve to wrap the handle. So I'm just going to take these smaller strands out, and I'm definitely going to keep these because you can use them for several different things. Now this paracord is able to lay flat because those inner strands are not in there anymore. So I know there are several techniques for wrapping handles with paracord. Normally paracord handle wraps are held together by friction. Usually it's like a loop or something that you pull and then it goes underneath all of the other wrapping. But then there's a whole strand of paracord underneath the entire wrapping, which means it's not going to be perfectly cylindrical. Obviously this is just a prop, so I'm just trying to match the reference pictures. So I'm going to use a lighter to keep the strands together, and I'm going to use some super glue to secure the sleeve of paracord on the handle itself. So I'm going to start wrapping this around to see what it looks like. Just applying a little bit of glue right here, just to hold it in place. So this is what the kunai looks like after it's completely wrapped. As you can see, I just cut off the excess, and that's what it looks like in the picture, so I'm just going off of that. And this top area here, in the picture it looks like it's going underneath this little band right there, but I couldn't really do that unless I added the band afterward, but I think it looks pretty good just like that. So this pretty much concludes the entire tutorial series for the Hardened Paper Kunai. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial series. It definitely took a while to make, but I felt like this channel needed kind of a simple project that people could start off with, because it can be pretty hard to just jump right into paper crafting and start building something really complicated. This is a great project for beginners because you pretty much use all of the basic paper crafting techniques you need to know, and it's overall pretty fun to build. So once again, thank you very much for watching these videos, and also thank you very much for all of your support. It really means a lot to me. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below or in a personal message. And be sure to subscribe if you would like to see all the latest updates, and I will see you guys in the next video.